What is up, survivors? This is Harv with Harv's Corner. For today's taming video, we're going to be going over the Equus. This adorable horse, zebra, donkey thing that roams the plains in most of the Ark maps and has a lot of pretty cool uses. This is going to be a start to a decent chunk of taming that we're going to do, specifically going over utility-based creatures and why they're good and what they can do for you. So I figured we started off with one of the popular ones, one of the cool-looking ones, and one of the very, very useful ones. So this is a level 1 that we just spawned in just so we could see its stats, and these guys are fairly tall. You don't need a saddle to ride them. Once you tame them, and we're going to talk about how to tame them and show you how to tame them, but once you do tame them, you can put a saddle on them, but you don't need to. You can ride them without one. There's advantages to it though. So the stats, and we'll talk about this stuff over here in a minute, but specifically the stats. So at a level 1, its health's not that great. Its stamina is okay, but it's actually really good on stamina, so you really don't need to worry about that part too much. Oxygen, food, I mean, these are kind of irrelevant for these guys. You're not usually going to go swimming with these guys. The weight is decent for its size. You got to consider that's 350 weight, but this horse is not very big per se. Movement speed is pretty irrelevant as well. It's fairly fast. It can outrun a lot of different things out there. So the cool thing, and that's this stuff over here on this side, the cool thing about the Equus is once you have a saddle on it, it works like a mortar and pestle. So you're able to craft things that you would normally craft out of a mortar and pestle on top of it, to include things like narcotics, bug repellent, all that stuff. You can craft all of that on top of it. Lassos are also another thing that it can craft, and you can use the lassos while riding the Equus to grab smaller creatures and even players and drag them around. More importantly, the Equus also drastically reduces the weight of certain items in its inventory, specifically things like cementing paste, cactus sap, clay, and sand are all 80%. They weigh 80% less. Things like chitin weigh 50% less, keratin weighs 50% less, and even stone weighs 50% less. So for a more mobile mortar and pestle, a lot of the things that you would normally use in its inventory get a heck of a discount when you're carrying them. So it makes this guy really good to use on things like scorched earth, but just in general, for most of your crafting needs, it's actually pretty neat. And to be able to have more than one of these, a few of them around, mobile mortar and pestles, that can be... it's not uncommon for me to grab a bunch of spoiled meat, hop on one of these guys, because they will harvest berries for you and just roam around and harvest berries. The speed is not too bad. It has a jump. Pretty good on stamina. It's not going to go through stamina very quick. So you have this primary headbutt that will headbutt things for you, but then you also have this kick. This kick is interesting as well because this kick does high torpor damage to enemies. So you can actually knock enemies out with that kick. Now that's where the stamina comes into play with this guy. Running, you're not going to use very much stamina. If you do a lot of the kicking, you're going to use a lot of stamina. So if you're using this guy to potentially knock things out, smaller dinos out, you probably want to put some levels up in the stamina just to make sure. But yeah, he picks up berries with the first attack. I believe he'll pick up berries with the kick as well. Oh no, it doesn't look like it actually. No way he does that. But you can knock trees down for a little bit of thatch and wood as well, so that's a possibility. So he's pretty useful. Doesn't grab fiber, so pay attention to that one, but all in all, pretty useful mount. Really cool, and like I said, with the addition to the saddle, these guys get to do a lot of different things. So once they're tamed, they'll eat normal berries, but to tame them is a little bit of a different story. So we're going to go out here. We're actually on the Ragnarok map out here in the Highlands, and we're going to go find one for you and show you how it's done. Alright, so it looks like we have a couple of Equus out here. You don't want to get too close to these things because they have a natural passive flee, and I'm actually looking around to make sure nothing's going to try to attack these things before we jump on them. But ghillie armor is actually a pretty good idea if you're trying to sneak up on these things, and still got the Easter colors out here. Take a look at that. So we got like a level 40 out here. Level 26. We can go after the pink one. Why not? Let's do something a little nuts. So basically what you want to do is you want to have the rock carrots on your last slot, the carrots on your last slot. That's what you're going to use to tame these. Now you can use the kibble method, but don't use berries. You're just gonna you're gonna drive yourself nuts if you're using berries. So you want to use rock carrot. Now specifically on the Ragnarok map, on the other side of this biome, there's actually farmland where you can actually just pick rock carrots out of the ground. But in any case, you want to have those in your inventory. You want to have them on your last slot. Now, this is technically a passive tame, but what's going to happen is I'm going to move up to this guy. I'm going to hit the passive tame, defeat it once, and I'm immediately going to jump on it. And you basically have to, you kind of have to break it, more or less, is what you have to do. So kind of show you. Hop up on here and feed it real quick, and then I immediately hop on it. It's immediately going to tell me to feed it again, and you're going to see the little hearts come out of its nose. Now in the bottom right, it'll tell me what the taming effectiveness is, and down there is what I want to watch for. As soon as it prompts me to feed the horse, I'm going to want to feed it. If I take too long in feeding it when it wants to be fed while this is going on, it's going to kick me off and then also kick me and try to knock me out. So the trick is to stay on it and pay attention to the prompts. And this is also really dangerous because I have absolutely no control over where the horse goes. This guy is just going wherever she wants to go. So I'm kind of at the mercy of this. So if you're playing on a map where flyers can pick up creatures, I would highly recommend grabbing an Argentavis, picking one of the horses up, dropping it inside a pen, and then taming it there. And if you saw that down at that bottom right, we hit it as soon as we were able to. But I would highly recommend dropping it inside of a taming pen. That's going to make your life considerably easier. And we see our taming effectiveness went up to 39%. Like I said, you want to use carrots. If you try to use measure berries or something like that while you're doing this, the taming effectiveness is going to go up so slow. You're going to be out here for years trying to tame one of these. Now, obviously, that's situational depending on what server settings you're running with, but typically it's going to take you a pretty long time. But this is pretty much what we're doing now. Over here, it's not too bad. I kind of scoped it out. There's nothing really that bad hanging out around me, but there are definitely certain places out here where this can get pretty dicey. But yeah, this is pretty much it. I'm getting lucky. She's kind of just running around in circles up here, but periodically they will run right into dangerous stuff. So you definitely have to be careful where you're doing this at. But this is pretty much it. You really just got to watch for that prompt that keeps popping up at that bottom right and just feeding it as soon as that prompt pops up. You don't want to give it a second. As soon as it pops up, you just want to feed it in just one time. That's all you have to do. This is one of the fairly unique tames. There's not too many creatures out here in the normal Ark universe that we have to tame a very specific way. This is definitely one that we have to do. But honestly, the utility of this creature completely outweighs the difficulty it might be taming. I think Equus are probably, if not underrated, definitely underused in my experience playing Ark. These are one of the more of the useful creatures out there for sure. I like the fact that they're small, they don't take up a lot of space, they get weight reductions, they move fast, good on stamina, you can breed them, and then being able to act as a mortar and pestle and to get the weight reductions on everything. It wouldn't be too hard early on, and oh look, she's tame. It would not be too hard early on to get one of these and even have a couple of them. As soon as you can get access to rock carrot, have a couple of these and crank out narcotics to level you and your tribe up pretty quick. So it's definitely a pretty good option, being able to make cementing paste and be able to make it on the fly regardless of where you're at. The lasso is definitely pretty cool in more of a PvP environment, or even PvE, where you can lasso other players, but you can also lasso a lot of smaller dinos, which is interesting. It makes taming a lot of these smaller creatures a lot easier, especially ones that would normally try to flee away from you. But yeah, that's the Equus. We're going to take her over to where the other is and wrap this thing up. And while I'm riding back up here, there is a special variant of the Equus, and that is the unicorn. Now, unicorns are very rare. Depending on the map you're playing on, there may be as little as 1 to 2 of them on the map at a time that are wild. And with the exception of appearance, they actually work and look just like an Equus, with the exception of them being all white and having a unicorn horn. They don't do anything special other than look a little bit different. But they're very unique, and it's definitely kind of a trophy thing to have. And I'll spawn one in so you guys can take a look at it, and we'll be right back. So this is the unicorn, which is, like I said, in actual appearance-wise, obviously you have the unicorn horn, and these guys are all white, but that's really the only difference. They're still going to work the same way. They're still going to have the same stats. They're still going to have the same abilities. It's really just bragging rights, really, because these are super hard to find. The other thing to pay attention to is if you do decide to try to get unicorns, is that you can't breed unicorns with Equus. Unicorns will only breed with unicorns. Equus only breed with Equus. So if you have a unicorn, you're not going to be able to breed it with one of your normal horses. That's not how it works. So if breeding is what you're trying to do and what you're looking for, you're going to have to find a male and a female unicorn in order to do that. That's really it. I mean, that's the Equus in general. These guys are pretty awesome horses, pretty awesome tames. And again, I really like them, and I really wanted to start doing something a bit more The taming a bit more focused on a lot of the utility dinos and the really cool uses. What you will find in the Ark universe is that every creature of every shape and size has some sort of ability. They all do. Every single one of them has some sort of ability that gives them a little bit of a leg up. So I kind of want to go over a lot of those different creatures that either get overlooked or maybe not used very often, or maybe just forgotten about with all the cool and newer stuff that's come out since then. But yeah, the Equus, the horse, donkey, zebra, horse, donkey, zebra, zebra, donkey, horse, / unicorn. But yeah, that's it. But that's it, guys. I hope you found the video helpful. I hope you found it useful. Please feel free to throw me a like, throw a comment in the comment box down there. Please subscribe. Please share the video out. Let me know what you guys think. And feel free to follow me here. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Twitch. We Twitch live stream Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, which means we will be on streaming later on tonight, playing some. Might be playing some 7 Days to Die, actually. But with that being said, thanks for watching, thanks for hanging out, and more importantly, I do want to keep announcing this. We announced it on Wednesday's video as well, that I've gotten some requests in to do a Ark playthrough, like Survivor Series playthrough, and I really want the community's opinion on as far as like maybe maps that you want to see or mods that you want to see. I want to get something together before we start rolling this thing out, because I really wanted to make sure that it's going to be something that you guys want to see and that you're going to enjoy. So definitely throw your input in there, throw it in the comments, regardless of what video it is. I always try to check the comments as much as I can. Please throw something in there as far as maybe a map that you want to see it played on, or specific mods that you think would be really cool. Really, for me, I'm really concerned about the map, like what map would be a really fun map to play on. But again, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out, and until next time.